Everyone, my name's Dakari. Welcome to another episode of Bronco Scoop. I hope you all are doing well as we approach the end of our spring semester 2021. We have about 6 weeks left, give or take, and I'm sure we're all putting our best foot forward as we prepare for our finals. At this time, many of you have received your acceptance letters or are preparing to join our Bronco family this fall. And to you, we say congratulations and welcome to CPP. I know this is a very exciting time for you all, and we are very happy to have you join us. So, here on today's episode, we have Sebastian joining us, who is also a transfer student and fellow Project Camino student assistant.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sebastian. I transferred from Orange Coast College, and I'm currently majoring in food science and technology with an emphasis in culinary science and a minor in plant-based nutrition. And I am a graduate year of 2021. I'll be the graduating class of 2021. And so it's going to be a really good relief. This is my final semester.
That's good to hear. Well, thank you for joining us today, Sebastian, and congrats on your upcoming graduation. I know you're probably really excited for one, but what other emotions are you feeling as you're approaching the end of your journey here at CPP?
I think it's the excitement of the relief that I'll get from like as soon as I graduate. Because one of the things that I've told my friends about is this, because we're doing this all virtually this year, and then the prior year at the beginning of quarantine. Um, One of the reliefs is knowing that I won't be like having all of my work be at my home, the place that I need rest in. That's one of the great joys that I'm like wanting to experience because after you graduate and then you get a job in your field, that job is in another location, and when you check out of that job, you go home and it's no longer it's no longer in your mind. It's no longer something you have to worry about. And that's something that I'm just excited about, is the relief of not knowing that I'm going to go home to more work. And
Yeah,
that is just something that I'm happy for.
yeah, I definitely understand that. Well, we're happy to have you join us today so you can share your transfer experience with us. And for those who are listening who are prospective students and wondering, what it's like to be a transfer student here at CPP, I myself am also a transfer student. I graduate next year, though, in the spring of 2022, and I'm going to receive my Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology. So, for today's episode, as I mentioned before, we're going to share with you all our experience joining the Bronco family as transfer students. So, Sebastian, what was your initial reaction when you received your acceptance letter? Do you remember like how you celebrated when you opened it?
I think it was just another like good relief knowing that I got in and that I have like a prospective future going into a college. It was just a great relief knowing that. And then like the way that I celebrated was like going out to a restaurant, just eating, because one of the things that brings me so much comfort and excitement is food. Like I'm just always excited about food. And so like getting to experience like having been accepted into CPP and then just celebrating with as much food as I could. Because
Yeah.
again, I'm a food science major. That's my whole life revolves around food.
Yes. I'm surprised my major isn't food science as much as I love food myself. Yeah, I remember that excitement when I opened my letter. Well, I actually got it in an email
Hmm.
that I was accepted. And when I saw it, I kind of took a second, like, is this real? Like, is this a spam email? Like, what's going on? I don't know. It just took a second, for me to really process it. But I do remember being really excited because it was something that I was really looking forward to transferring out from Pasadena City College. I knew like a year before I even applied that I wanted to go to Cal Poly Pomona. So finally receiving that acceptance letter was a really big achievement for me. I was really proud.
I'm so happy for you, Dakari.
Yeah, it was. I'm so happy to be here. It was really nice.
Can't wait till you see campus. You're gonna really enjoy it. Did the
Yes,
koi pond?
yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to visit the Rose Garden so that I can see it in full bloom.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful place. And then I think there's like another location that gets overlooked at CPP. It's like their greenhouse, and that like has like bearded dragons, I believe, inside that greenhouse. Like it
Well,
has a lot of reptilian um animals in there, like
I did
turtles.
not know that there was a greenhouse. I definitely want to. I love like one thing about me is I really love food and nature. So if I could like take my lunch to the greenhouse, I'd be the happiest girl in the world.
You can just sit outside and then you could just like go through.
That sounds really cool. I'm glad you told me that. Now I can look out for that too as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell you said your major is food science and technology. Can you tell us
Yeah.
a bit more about that?
So food science and technology is like a culmination of a lot of different majors because you have engineering, you have chemistry, you have microbiology, you have culinary arts, if that is your emphasis, um, and then you have physics. So apply everything you know about that and then apply it to food. So basically, how do you process something? How does the like heat affect food? How do additives or chemical agents affect food? And like you look into that and we're coming into like an age of like things are trying to be more natural. So how does natural ingredients affect the way something is being processed? How do you keep it from being wholesome and being as close to natural and minimally processed, um, while also ensuring that this food is safe and edible to consume and that people enjoy it. So that's basically my major is it understanding the quality assurance of food, making sure that it is safe and will be able to be processed in a way that was created, and then also research and development. Basically, how do you create this food? How do you replicate it? And then how do you uh, make it so that it's widespread and available to a lot of consumers? So that's basically my major.
That's really interesting. You know, you see like all the food at the grocery store and on the shelves, and you don't really think about all of the processes that it goes through before it makes it, to the grocery store. So that's really interesting to see the other side of it.
Yeah.
So I transferred in fall 2020, which was during virtual instruction. So I haven't had the chance to actually take classes on campus yet. Can you share with us what your first year at Cal Poly Pomona was like?
It was very like hectic because a lot of times you have to get accustomed. Because when you're a transfer, I think at that time when you've transferred with a major in mind, you've taken a lot of your strong GEs, and so you've gotten rid of those. So everything is now more focused on your major and the major courses for you to be able to complete. And that was hectic because I really didn't know what was going on. Um, there are people who were freshmen who were like just have already like found their way through campus, navigating the campus resources. But to me, everything was new. I didn't have an understanding of the resources that were available, so I wasn't very like accustomed to going to certain places. I also wasn't like accustomed to some of like the places that the school has for recreational activities. Like I only remember just like transferring and just being like, okay, I go to my classes and then I study in the library, but I didn't really take a hold of like the games room that they have or the brick, which is the gym. They offer a lot of recreational activities. They also offer a lot of counseling. And they also had this like wellness being place that like I forgot some of the services they offered, but it was like mindfulness. It was a lot of like trying to calm your nerves because again, you're being a college student, a lot of times you get stressed. So um, it was like a very like confusing first year because I was just trying to get used to the campus lifestyle, used to the campus energy. Um, and then also trying to like um, get to know people within my major because that's a lot of what it is trying to network with other students because at the end of the day when you're in your major and you're studying in that specific major you want to be as close to possible with those people because they do have some greater insight and networking um, and be able to help you outside of campus because I've had a lot of my friends who were in my majors able to get jobs and they've also have been able to help me try to work their way around like uh, working through employers and working through networking and working through tailoring all of my skills to make sure that I can get a job.
Yeah, networking is super important in college. It's not something that is really talked about prior, but once you get in, you realize how important it is to like network and get to know, step outside of your comfort zone if you're more of an introvert, to be able to, talk to people, learn more things. It's really important. It's also really helpful, especially during your last years, so that you have more of a foot in the door for certain things. So, as transfers, we get to know how and where to get services at our community college. And then, like you said, when we get to Cal Poly Pomona, it's a new system that we have to learn, and we have to figure out how and where to get the same services and support. So, is there a program or support service that helped you the most that first year at Cal Poly Pomona?
Hmm. It's been 2 years, but I'm trying to like let me see. I had like a program that I liked to use because I know there was the tutoring center that I had to use when it came to like going through my physics or my engineering. And that's the writing center is a great thing that I loved using because sometimes yeah, some professors would be like, hey, use the writing center. And if you showed me proof that you used the writing center, I will not mark you heavily on your mistakes if you have made them because it showed me that you at least went somewhere to get help. That was another great place that helped me like when it came to research papers. But the tutoring center they had in the library was also great because it has people who are like in different majors and so they all have different backgrounds. So if you have an engineering class, they'll have an engineering major help you with certain types of skill sets. And then another thing would be like, oh, if you were in the physics or if you're in like English, they could also help you.
Yeah, that's really good. I wish I would have been able to use that, especially my upcoming semester, knowing that I have to take statistics again. So, yeah,
Oh no. That
yeah,
was my struggle too. I had a professor where I was like, I understand the material, but the grading on the tests were very difficult.
yeah. So, but I know they still offer services virtually. So now that you said that, I'm definitely going to make sure that I try to take advantage of that. I know for me, one of the like most important services that I used was the Bronco Advising Center, with them just helping me understand my degree progress report and them helping me understand, the curriculum for psychology and my roadmap so that I was picking the right classes and taking them in the right order, so that I was like fulfilling prerequisites so that once I got to a certain point, that I could take classes in the correct order. So they've been super helpful. Even still now, like I just met with them last week just as a
Mhm.
check-in, to make sure that the classes that I'm going to take next semester are in line with my degree. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are both some really important and very helpful services offered at Cal Poly Pomona.
Yeah, that's a good because one of the things that happens when you're also transferring in is like understanding what classes to take and how to manage a schedule that makes sure that you're not going to be adding another year to your college. So
Yeah.
taking it, advising is very important. Like make sure that you're taking the specific classes that, because one of the things is that some classes are offered only in the fall or only in the spring. So
Yeah.
that's something that needs to be like taken a look at. And an advisor could help you in understanding how to navigate that schedule.
Yeah, definitely. So, Cal Poly Pomona is known for its polytechnic advantage, which is the learn by doing approach. How do you feel that your major at Cal Poly Pomona has done that?
Um, well, again, like a lot of the things that I've done was in product development or like, and so learning how to navigate certain things like understanding fats, understanding protein, understanding carbohydrates in a food. You have to learn how when it reacts to heat, how it reacts to chemical change, how are you able to see what the nutritional content of that is. So CPP has done a really good job of like showing me how it's done in an actual field of work while also helping me build up that skill.
So, there is a restaurant on campus called the Kellogg Ranch, which is run by students. Have you ever visited and do you recommend it?
Yeah, so I've actually been there for a class um, tasting. So basically, I was in I don't think it was like a beer class. It was showing me basically different types of beers. And when like you're over 21 and you're able to take that class, because it is an elective class that any person can take. Only requirement is that you have to be over 21. So there was this beer and beverage class that I was taking for my major, and so they for the last day they had us go do a beer and food pairing, and so the professor had scheduled it so that the people who were working, because again, on top of it being a student-run restaurant, it's also a class. So the people who are waiting on you, the people who are servicing you, are students who will, at the end of the day, be graded for their work. And so, on top of that, it was a really great experience. The food was phenomenal. The beer pairing was great. It's very accommodating. Um, I really enjoyed it. Um, I think it just gets overlooked a little bit because it's up in the hill. It's like there's places in CPP where it's like it's just a valley and you're able to just walk around campus. But the Kellogg restaurant is up in the, the place called The Hill, which is basically only for people who are in hospitality. And while it's easier for people who are in hospitality to just exist in that one area, if you're in any other student, it's kind of like you have to climb up it, and it's quite a climb.
So, it's like a hike before your dinner.
Yeah, it's literally a hike before your dinner. And it's a really nice place because you can also kind of just hang out there.
That's really cool though. I feel like I definitely make that hike just to be able to get up there and try the food.
Hmm.
So, lastly, what is your favorite, your like absolute number one favorite spot on campus that you would recommend visiting?
Okay, let me think because I do know I have like um spots in that in TPP that I used to like really just enjoy. I think it'd be like if it came down to studying, it'd be like the fifth floor of the library because it's so quiet in there.
Mhm.
That's a great study area. I enjoyed a lot of it. Oh yeah, okay. I'd say it'd be the farm store.
The
It would
farm
be
store?
the farm store is my favorite spot, just because again, food.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of produce in there. There's a lot of gourmet ingredients in there. There's like weird sodas in there. there's weird drinks. Like I recommend going to the farm store because of its like authenticity. Because it's not selling you like things you would find in a normal grocery store. It's selling you like different types of things that come from different types of places. So like you have different varieties of salsa, different varieties of honey, different varieties of like maple syrup. You have different drinks, you have health drinks, you have their homemade foods that they even make themselves, like canned peaches. They have their breads that they make fresh. They have their freshly squeezed orange juice. You can get their freshly harvested honey in like their own jars. So everything there is like a really nice place. It's a really nice place to treat yourself to something. They have really cool knickknacks. They also have like a gardening center on the side of that where like you could buy different types of in-season plants. Like right now they're selling tomatoes and strawberries over there, but they also have like succulents. You can get fig trees, you can get apple trees, you can get dragon fruit trees. Um, so that's a place that I genuinely love. And so once the once everything goes back to being like in person and on campus, they do a lot of events also. Like they had the pumpkin festival, which is a nice place, so you can always get your pumpkins there. They had like um I think it was like horse rides and then like a hay bell ride and like mazes.
Oh my gosh, that's I'm like in love right now. Like one of my favorite things to do is go to the grocery store, and I feel like I'd be in there for hours just looking at everything, like just to see all of the options that are there. And doesn't isn't the produce in there from Cal Poly Pomona?
Yeah, it's very locally sourced. So and it's cheap too. Um they had like baskets of like fresh strawberries and they were like the best strawberries I've ever had. Um And so and again, we are a large orange grove. So there's a lot of fresh oranges. There's a lot of grapefruits, mandarins, tangelos. Um, and they also have their own fresh crops of vegetables that you can pick up. So it's a really great experience. I recommend it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sebastian. I've learned so much that I had no idea about, and I've been here for a year already. I'm kind of ashamed to
Hmm.
say that, but
You're
it's
good.
really making me look forward to if we're fortunate enough to be able to return to be in person for the fall or the spring. So, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to
Hmm.
have you here with us today. And congratulations again on your upcoming graduation.
Thank you again. And I do hope you get to enjoy and experience CPP as I did in my first year. Because
Yeah.
it was great.
Yes. Thank you so much. I hope I do too.
Mhm.
All right, Sebastian. Well, I hope you have a great day. And to everyone listening, we hope you all have a great day. And to those of you who will be joining us in the fall, we are so happy to have you and we cannot wait to meet you and to have you join our Bronco family. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.